Hit me, beat me up, shouts this man at the security forces in Delhi. He's seen as a symbol of defiance for the many Indian students met with heavy crackdown by security forces on Monday. Undeterred, these students have returned to the protest site. They've been demanding the resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan over the leak of exam paper questions. But now they want more from the government.
After the latest police crackdown, there are now calls for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to resign himself. He's consistently sought to portray himself as a decisive strongman. But his silence over calls to sack his education minister is being seen as a sign of weakness by these protesters.
We want Modi's resignation as well. When the emperor is corrupt, the whole system becomes corrupt.
We are no longer the largest democracy in the world. We are the largest autocracy in the world today. So I think respecting the people of the citizen, respecting the youth of the citizen of the country, he must resign today.
If you cannot assure accountability to the people, if you are not able to ensure security of the people, then you should leave your post. I would also advise that before his remaining followers also come back to their senses, he should resign and move on.
The police were so brutal with students. Even girls were hit with sticks. We're also here and got injuries. We're not terrorists, we're educated youth.
The protest started as an online satirical campaign in May by the so-called Cockroach Janata Party in response to India's Chief Justice referring to unemployed youth as cockroaches. More than half of India's 1.4 billion population is under the age of 30. They make up over 80% of all unemployed in India, despite the country's strong economic growth under Modi. But the protests now seem to be widening to reflect growing frustration among Gen Z over what they call institutionalized corruption. Facing an unprecedented challenge by the country's youth, this is uncharted territory for the Prime Minister. Many are now asking if he underestimated their discontent.
I think this is something that at the very least will serve as a rude awakening to the Prime Minister for really putting him in a position where he has to recognize that there is a problem and there is a challenge that needs to be addressed. But it's complicated, right? Because we've seen over the course of the last few months indications that the BJP still remains very strong and popular nationally. There was a number of BJP state election victories over the last few weeks, which I think once again put the opposition on the defensive. So you have that, but then you also have this, this smoldering discontent among large numbers of the public.
Back at the protest site, we met someone who defended the government actions.
It is all hoodlums, nothing else. These are misguided children, and they are being misguided by the so-called leaders who don't have any political space left for them.
Prime Minister Modi has now announced speedy trials to punish those involved in exam leaks and assured accountability.
Despite the growing backlash, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has neither addressed these protesters directly nor expressed sorrow over the students' suicide linked to exam leak controversy. While he's now promised strict action against those responsible, that message seems to have done little to calm the anger on the streets here.
Protesters say they will stick to their core demands of the Education Minister's resignation, compensation to the families of students who died by suicide, and action against police officers whom they blame for excessive use of force at the protests.
Well, the protests over exam paper leaks have become one of the biggest public challenges to Modi since the start of his third term. Now he's vowing fast and severe punishment. So why are these protests continuing? I put that question to Ashok Swain, professor of peace and conflict research at Uppsala University in Sweden.
I think protest has been much more than we see the paper leaks, but I think protest has become much bigger. But also there is a credibility gap of the Modi is suffering from, because Modi came 12 years back to the power with a promise of cleaning up the system, trying to give more jobs, creating more growth. all these things, which has happened is there's a larger problem in India is facing. There is a massive unemployment. The development, which your report said, there has been a strong growth, but the strong growth not compared to what used to be before, but also the growth has been only for few people. So there is a large number of people, those who have been kept out of this economic growth for employment opportunity. There is a massive number of people, those who are looking for some way out. I think this is where the problem has started. And at this point, though, the Modi has promised, but after several weeks of protest, not only the Cockroach movement or the Cockroach Party, whatever, the satirical party, but with this, but also the main opposition parties are also have been complaining about it and on the street about it for a couple of months now. So I think it is too late and it is too less.
Well, Professor, is this more than a youth movement in India? I mean, we've been hearing more and more that this is about outrage and unhappiness among the country's students, the country's youth. But is it more than that?
Yes, it has. I mean, this is not anymore confined. This movement is not anymore confined to the satirical Cockroach Janata Party, which was created in May. And there is it has been going on in that protest place in Delhi, but it has gone outside Delhi. It has gone to all the states. It has gone to the different parts of the country. It is also outside the country. It has gone, more opposition parties have come together. The Congress party, which is Rahul Gandhi, which is also leading the movement before even the Cockroach Janata Party, they have come up very strongly in support of the government, in support of the protesters. So the challenge is much larger. The issues are much higher, and for the first time, it looks like the country has got an issue to stand up against, or particularly all the opposition groups against Modi have a possibility to come together. And the second thing which you need to remember, that before whatever the movement has been, like the citizenship movement started, there is also a farmers movement. That time, the Modi government was able to the citizenship movement was considered by mostly Muslims, so it was like as if a Pakistani supporting it. Then the Sikhs were mostly in the farmers movement. But this movement has come from the people, those who have been the traditional supporter of Modi and his party. Yeah. So I think this has been a break within the group of the group which is running the country, and I think that has given the opposition a very good point, or at least an opening to see that they can find a place now, opportunity now to press Modi to a larger concession than what he has done.
It's interesting you say that, Professor, because we've seen a police crackdown on the protesters, and if I'm understanding you correctly, that crackdown could end up strengthening this protest movement.
It has. I think always these governments don't realize they should have learned it from not from far, but what happened in Sri Lanka, what happened in Bangladesh, what happened in Nepal. Of course, I'm not saying that the Indian government and its forces are as like the other smaller countries in South Asia, but at the same time, they should have learned that this kind of brutal force against the opposition, particularly against the young generation of the protesters, whom you cannot brand as anti-national or foreign-funded or terrorist or that kind of things. So it will be very, very difficult for them, and they will come to the street. And this is the fear has gone out now. Yeah. So actually, the Modi government had instilled fear among a large number of people to stand up and protest. There are lots of grievances in the society, but they have been able to suppress them, but it doesn't look like anymore it's happening.
Should Narendra Modi, should he be worried now that the anger on the streets could end up costing him the youth vote, and could the country's very young demographics, could it end up posing a real political threat to him?
This, for the first time, as I can see, there is a fracture within the ruling dissensions, particularly among the ruling party supporters. And that is a very, very strong sign for anyone which wants to be re-elected to be worried about. But it has also brought a large number of other parties, those who have been suffering from, like the Muslims, Dalits, Sikhs, Christians, and also other, the lower middle class, poor. They have all come together and they have found an issue where they all can really assemble and oppose. But at the same time, I think we should realize that the younger generation, which was very much aspiring for a long time. But look at this. There is nearly 400 million youths which are from the 15 to 29 years of age in that country. Around 300 millions are not studying out of that. And out of that, around 30 to 40% are unemployed. So you expect that these people will sometime lose their hope and will come to the street to fight for their right.
Professor Ashok Swain, we appreciate your insights tonight, and we appreciate you putting context into this story that remains very fluid. Thank you.
Thank you very much.